On this second section, we're going to look at how to graph points on a polar grid. How this works, it's the same concept except we change up our grid so it's easier to graph. This says 5 pi over 6. So if I look on here, I'm looking for 5 pi over 6, and I find it on this line. So I know that my graph needs to be placed on this line a certain amount of distance. Let me move this all over real quick. And so what I would do is I would graph I know its line will be somewhere along this line. Now it says it's 3 units. So if I moved this to 3 units, my point would be 1 unit away, 2 units away, and 3 units away. That would be the location of my point. It would be right here. This would be the point A at 3, 5 pi over 6. This one. Now, I don't like working in negative degrees, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 360, which is just one full circle, and what that gives me is positive 120. So I know that Q is the same thing as negative 2, 120. Whoops. Now how I'll graph that is I'll look for 120. So starting from here, I go over, and this is 120. And so my point should be on this line, negative 2 units along 120. So it should be somewhere here. Since it's negative, I go all the way around the opposite way, 2 units to there. So it should be this point. Now I'm going to give you something else to make it easier. I don't like these negatives either. So if you have a negative degree, you add 360. If you have a negative side, what you do is you can change it to say that Q is also equal to, you can make this positive, but if you do that, you got to say 120 plus 180, which that equals a Q value of 300. Let's check. Is this on the value 300? It is. So that point would be correct. So here's the answers given to you that I just found. You'll see this one, how they went to 120 and then went 2 units the other way towards 300. That was B. And then A was at 3 units over on 3 pi over 6. There's the line. And they have 1, 2, 3 units. That's where they got that point from. Now one for you to try. You can pause the video. Try this on your own. Before I show you the graphs, I'm going to walk you through to get rid of this. You would add 360 degrees, which is the same thing as adding 2 pi. So if I had negative 2.5, the first thing I might do is try to make this become positive 2.5. And if I want to do that, I would just add 1 pi to it. So if I want to change this, I could say that this is positive here. And I'm going to add a pi, which is the same thing as saying adding 4 pi over 4. When I do that, I get 2.5, comma, negative pi over 4. I still don't like the negatives, so I can also then come back and just say, hey, let's add 2 pi, which is the same thing as 8 pi over 4. So this is 2.5. If I add 8 pi over 4, I end up with 7 pi over 4 here. So what I'm going to do is look for a graph that's at 7 pi over 4 and goes 2.5 units. As I look, this one appears to be the only one that's there. 7 pi over 4 would be in the 4th quadrant. So it would have to be D.